The evening was cold, the kind of cold that seeps into your bones and makes every breath feel like broken glass. On the corner of a bustling street, under the flickering glow of a failing street lamp, a young girl sat curled up with her knees to her chest. Her clothes were too thin, her shoes were worn down to nearly nothing, and her hair was tangled from weeks without a proper bed. Her name was Emily. She was only 14 years old and homeless. Every night she watched people rush by, clutching their shopping bags, talking on their phones, laughing with friends. None of them noticed her, except when she whispered those 4 desperate words, "Can I play for food?" Most people ignored her. Some shook their heads. A few chuckled under their breath, amused at the thought of a ragged girl claiming she could play. They assumed she meant to juggle or sing badly or do something silly for coins. But Emily wasn't a street clown. She was something far greater, though no one knew it. Her secret was her gift music. Emily had grown up in a small, loving home. Her mother was a nurse, her father a factory worker. They didn't have much, but when Emily was 5 years old, her father found an old upright piano at a thrift store. Its keys were chipped, the sound uneven. But the moment Emily's fingers touched those keys, the room came alive. Music poured out of her like it had always been waiting inside. Her parents called her a prodigy. By the time she was 10, she could play Mozart, Chopin, even improvise her own melodies that brought her mother to tears. Teachers wanted to enroll her in conservatories. But then tragedy struck. Her father got sick, cancer. Her mother worked double shifts to pay for treatments, but bills stacked higher than hope. By the time Emily turned 13, her father was gone. A year later, her mother, exhausted and drowning in debt, collapsed and never woke up. With no family left, no money, and no one to take her in, Emily slipped through the cracks. Now she lived on the streets. Her stomach growled as she watched the golden light of a nearby restaurant spill onto the sidewalk. The smell of fresh bread and roasted chicken drifted out. When the door opened, her eyes watered, not from the cold, but from hunger. She hadn't eaten since yesterday. "Can I play for food?" she asked again, timidly, as a couple walked past. They glanced at her, then laughed. "You? Play? What the spoons?" The man smirked. His girlfriend giggled, shaking her head. They didn't know. They couldn't know. Emily lowered her head, hugging her knees tighter. She wanted to give up asking. But then, across the street, she saw it. A piano. It sat in the corner of the train station lobby, one of those public pianos meant for anyone to use. People usually plunked out clumsy tunes, but for Emily it was like destiny calling her name. She stood slowly, her legs weak from hunger, and shuffled toward it. A group of teenagers noticed her and burst into laughter. "Hey, look! Homeless girl thinks she's Beethoven," one jeered. "Don't break it, trash!" another sneered. Emily sat down anyway. Her hands trembled as she reached out, her fingers hovering over the dusty keys. She closed her eyes. For a moment, she remembered her father's smile, her mother's humming in the kitchen, the warmth of home. Then she began to play. At first, soft notes trickled out like raindrops. People barely noticed. But then the melody swelled. Her fingers flew across the keys, weaving together notes of sorrow and hope, pain and beauty. Chopin flowed into Beethoven, then melted into her own creation. Music so raw and powerful it made strangers stop mid-step. The lobby fell silent. The teenagers who mocked her froze, their laughter fading into wide-eyed awe. The couple who had sneered at her earlier turned back, stunned. The restaurant staff leaned out the doorway, captivated. Even the security guard forgot his rounds, just standing there, jaw dropped. Emily poured her whole soul into the piano. Every memory of love and loss, every night of hunger, every dream she still carried. She played until tears blurred her vision, until her fingers ached, until the final note hung in the air like a prayer. Then, silence. For a second, no one moved. And then applause erupted. Loud, thunderous, unstoppable. Strangers who had ignored her minutes ago now clapped, cheered, even cried. Coins and bills began raining into her lap, people pushing forward to give what they could. But one man in the crowd wasn't just clapping. He was watching her with tears in his eyes. He was an older gentleman in a sharp suit, carrying a leather briefcase. He stepped forward slowly, then spoke. "Where did you learn to play like that?" Emily swallowed hard. "My dad taught me." Before he passed. The man nodded, his lips trembling. "I'm a music professor, and I've been searching for a soul like yours for years." The crowd gasped. Emily's heart skipped a beat. He knelt down beside her. "You're not just talented. You're extraordinary. If you'll let me, I want to help you. I'll get you into a conservatory. I'll make sure you're fed, safe, and given every chance you deserve." Emily's hands flew to her mouth. For the first time in years, hope flooded her chest. The man extended his hand. Emily hesitated, then placed her small, trembling hand into his. The crowd cheered again, but this time louder, stronger, as though the entire city had decided to lift her out of the shadows. That night, Emily didn't go to sleep hungry. She didn't go to sleep on the streets. She went to sleep in a warm bed, knowing her life had just changed forever, and all it took was the courage to sit down at that piano and let the world hear her soul. So, the next time you see someone broken, overlooked, or laughed at, remember Emily. Kindness costs nothing, but it can change a life. And if this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe for more stories that remind us of the power of hope, love, and second chances.